If you were a child of the mid-80s to early 90s, then you were old enough to experience the world of Harry Potter as it unfolded, to feel the anticipation for each book, then later each movie. In order to fully understand Harry's journey, we must first understand Harry himself. Who is Harry Potter? In short, he is the astro-theological legend of the sun. Throughout the entire series, we see that Hogwarts is adorned with various astronomical imagery, tools, and diagrams. In astrology, the sun rules over the zodiac sign, Leo, which is the midsummer season from July 22nd to August 21st. The sun is known as a leader because all the other planets revolve around him as he guides us through the heavens. In addition to being a leader, the sun is known as the One. When the sun is in the sky, no other planet or star can be seen, save for the occasional hint of the moon. In this way, he is the only one. Harry was born in late July, placing him in Leo season. In addition, Leo's birthstone is the red ruby, which Harry earned his first year at Hogwarts in the Sorcerer's Stone. Harry, like the sun, is a leader, leading Ron, Hermione, and eventually the House of Gryffindor in the battle against Voldemort. Just as the sun is considered the One, so too is Harry the Chosen One. Additionally, Harry is frequently shown with light. In the first movie, when Dumbledore is dropping Harry off with his aunt and uncle, Dumbledore removed all the light from the nearby area, except for the light shining on Harry's face. In movies 2, 3, and 4, the movie begins with Harry and light as well, whether it be a lit room or candlelight. In the fifth movie, he sits in the middle of a sun, and in the final movie, after defeating Voldemort, he's associated with the rising sun, symbolizing triumph over darkness and evil. According to the ancient Sumerians, Egyptians, Greeks, and about 30 other cultures from around the world, our sun is in a binary star system with another sun called Sirius. A binary star system is when two stars are gravitationally bound to each other, orbiting around a common center of mass. Sirius is part of the Canis Major constellation and is nicknamed the Dog Star. In the movie, Harry's godfather is Sirius Black. Black has the ability to transform into a dog. In addition, Harry and Sirius are constantly uniting, then separating, and uniting again, just like our actual sun with his sister, Sirius. The full revolution around Sirius takes anywhere between 24,000 and over 25,000 years. According to the ancients, the point in time when the two suns are closest to each other marks the Golden Age, Eden, and Heaven. When the suns are furthest away, it's the Iron Age, Hell, and Kali Yuga. The celestial movement determines what's called the precession of the equinox. About every 2,000 years, give or take, we are ruled by a different zodiacal sign. Let's pretend we're sitting on the Mediterranean. At daybreak, we see the constellation Aries. 2,000 years later, in that same location, at the same time, daybreak, we will see Pisces on the horizon. 2,000 years after that, we will see Aquarius, and so on. On December 21st, 2012, we left the age of Pisces and entered the age of Aquarius. The age of Pisces was our most recent Iron Age, or galactic winter, followed by the galactic spring, the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is also the 11th sign of the zodiac. Throughout the entire series, Harry is often associated with the number 11. In the first movie, we see him on his birthday when he turns 11. His bank vault is number 713. In numerology, this translates to the number 11 as well. In the third movie, he rents a room in a tavern and is given room number 11. And in the sixth movie, he flirts with a waitress. Harry asks her what time she's getting off that night, and she answers 11. Harry's association with the number 11 is Rowling telling us what time it is. It's the dawn of the golden age of Aquarius, when the sun triumphantly beats darkness. To further establish Harry's sonship, we must further understand the sun, more specifically, the legend of our sun. The oldest written record of astrology can be found in ancient Sumer around 5000 BC. The legend of the sun is personified through their allegorical hero and sun god, Utu. Many cultures around the world have always seen the planets as our gods. Because all their gods were based on the same natural phenomena, all their stories of these gods are more or less the same. One of the most popular sun gods is the Egyptian Ra. Ra was king of the gods and Egypt and had two sons, Osiris and Set. Osiris grew to become the next king, and his brother Set was envious, so he and 72 conspirators plotted to get rid of Osiris. They did this by making a coffin that was exactly his size. Then they made a bet saying that whomever fit would be buried alive in it. All 72 conspirators lay in the coffin one by one, and Osiris was last. When he got in, they closed the coffin and threw him in the river. Soon after this, Isis, Osiris's wife, became miraculously pregnant with his child Horus. Upon hearing this, Set tried to have Horus murdered because he wanted to keep the throne for himself. Isis knew this and fled, giving birth to Horus in secret. A few months later, Set stumbled across the coffin of Osiris. Set then murdered his brother and cut his body into 14 pieces. When Horus was finally of age, he came out of hiding and fought Set for the throne, with Horus being victorious. So, where's the sun in all of this? In actuality, all four characters, Ra, Set, Osiris, and Horus, represent the sun at different times of the day and year. The 72 conspirators are the 72 divisions of the year at 5 days. The conspirators laying in the coffin before Osiris is symbolic for the completion of the year, with Osiris symbolizing the death of the sun at the winter solstice. Set represents the setting sun, an entryway into the underworld, which is the region under the equinoxes. Osiris being locked in the coffin but still alive is symbolic for the fall equinox, when the sun begins to lose his strength. But Osiris, like the sun, isn't officially dead until a few months later at the winter solstice, which is when Set finds the coffin and murders him. Osiris being cut into 14 pieces is symbolic for the lunar phases. The ancients sectioned the year into 28 lunar divisions, 14 divisions above the equinoxes and 14 below. Obviously, Osiris's dismembered body is another symbol for the sun being in the underworld, under the equinoxes. Around this same time, as Osiris dies, his son Horus is born to Isis. Horus is a weak baby who must be hidden from Set. Set represents fall and winter. This is why he was successful in killing Osiris and why he tries to murder Horus. Baby Horus is the new sun that's not yet strong enough to defeat winter. The sun ascending up the ecliptic is symbolized by Horus growing from a baby to a man. At the vernal equinox, he's finally strong enough to kill Set and winter, becoming the new king of Egypt. Horus is the rising sun, symbolizing the vernal equinox. Ra is the sun at midday and summer solstice, which is why he's king, summer being when the sun is at his strongest. Set is the setting sun and autumnal equinox, and Osiris is the sun at midnight and the winter solstice, which is why he dies. From the myths of Egypt, we can fast forward to Christianity. We can start by looking at 2 tarot cards. Looking at these, we can see 4 zodiac signs in the corners: Taurus, Leo, the Eagle, which is another constellation near Scorpio, and Aquarius. These 4 signs symbolize the 4 seasons of the year. Looking at these photos of Jesus in various Christian churches, we can see the same 4 characters surrounding him. We can also see Jesus by himself being represented as the sun. This is demonstrated further with the 12 disciples, who represent the 12 zodiac signs. Mary, like Isis, became miraculously pregnant with Jesus and had to give birth to him in hiding because King Herod wanted to murder all the baby boys, after hearing a prophecy that the Son of God would be born and dethrone him. As an adult, Jesus traveled the land teaching and healing. He was then betrayed by Judas, crucified by the Romans, and buried in a tomb where he rose from the dead 3 days later. Jesus being born into hiding is the new sun beginning its life on December 25th. It's winter and the sun isn't strong enough to defeat darkness yet. Jesus was born in a barn with shepherds and their flock. The birth of the sun takes place in the sector of Capricorn. Within Capricorn is the constellation Cepheus, and within Cepheus are 2 stars, Orion, meaning shepherd, and Alpherk, which means flock. When Jesus is older, he is tempted by Satan for 40 days. The number 40 expresses the interval of time from which the sun reaches certain celestial coordinates and its tangible effects upon the climate of our planet. For example, although March 22nd is the first day of spring, it might still be cold and rainy. It doesn't feel like it's officially spring until 40 days later on May Day. This 40-day interval is the sun, Jesus, contending with winter, Satan. After being tempted by Satan from the vernal equinox to May Day, Jesus eventually enters Jerusalem riding 2 asses. Jerusalem is the enlightened kingdom of God. This heavenly state represents the summer solstice, marked by the zodiac sign Cancer. Within this constellation are 2 stars, Ascellus Borealis, the northern ass, and Ascellus Australis, the southern ass. After summer comes fall, with the autumnal equinox symbolizing Judgment Day, when Jesus goes to court and is sentenced to death. The sun under the equinoxes symbolizes hell, and the sun above the equinoxes symbolizes heaven. This can be extrapolated to our 24,000-year cycle as well. The sun is away from Sirius for roughly 12,000 years, symbolizing the galactic winter and hell, and is united with Sirius for another 12,000 years, symbolizing the galactic summer and heaven. We know Harry is the sun. Now we know that Jesus is also the sun. Therefore, Harry is our modern-day Jesus. Like Horus and Jesus, Harry was born to a virginal type. His mother's name is Lily. In esotericism, white lilies are associated with purity. Another symbol for purity is virginity. This is why the Virgin Mary is often depicted with white lilies. In addition, Harry's mother is associated with love, for it was Lily's love and sacrifice that saved Harry's life. Love is typically symbolized by hearts, which Mother Mary is also associated with. Harry was born in Godric's Hollow and sorted into Godric Gryffindor's house. Twice already, Harry is associated with God, just as Jesus is. The mascot of Gryffindor is the lion, Leo. Again, Leo is ruled by the sun. Lions are frequently associated with being benevolent and protective sun gods. This is why Koreans often have lion statues at their front door, as well as typically being Christian nowadays. Lions are often depicted in Christian art as well, with the lion protecting the lamb. In the same vein, Jesus is also depicted as a shepherd protecting his flock. Jesus, lions, and suns often overlap with each other and in reference to God. Voldemort tries to kill Harry as a baby because Voldemort learns of a prophecy that Harry will grow up to overthrow him. This is the exact storyline of Set, who tried to kill baby Horus, and King Herod, who tried to kill baby Jesus. And like Jesus, Harry was a teacher. In his 5th year, the Order of the Phoenix, Harry creates a small club where he teaches other students how to defend themselves against the dark arts. Harry, like Jesus and Horus, was associated with being a savior, setting magical folk, creatures, and muggles alike free. In his first year, he frees a snake from the zoo. In his second year, he frees an elf from slavery. In his third year, he frees Hagrid's pet hippogriff from being euthanized, as well as saving Sirius from prison. In his fourth year, he saves Ron and a young girl from merpeople. And in Harry's final year, he sets a dragon free, as well as the school, wizarding, and muggle worlds free from Voldemort. The most obvious clue that Harry is Jesus and the Son is in his last movie, The Deathly Hallows Part 2. Voldemort tells Harry that if he wants to stop the war, he must meet Voldemort in the Forbidden Forest and let himself be sacrificed. Forests are a common symbol for the underworld, hell, and lost souls. Biblically, Adam and Eve were cast out of the garden and into the wilderness. The garden symbolizes the sun above the equinoxes, and the wilderness represents the placement below. In movies such as Get Out, The Ritual, Bird Box, and The Sea of Trees, the forest is where the characters are lost and attacked by evil, whether it be evil in the form of an insane girlfriend, an actual monster, or just inner demons. Forests are the underworld, winter, which is why the forest is where Harry, the Son, dies. However, prior to Harry entering the forest, Dumbledore gifted him with the Resurrection Stone, allowing Harry to survive Voldemort's curse of death. Although he used the Resurrection Stone, Harry didn't wake up right away. He played dead until he was carried out of the dark forest and back to the school, where it's now daylight. It is only when Harry is above the equinoxes that he regains his strength and defeats Voldemort. This is the equivalent of Jesus being dead for 3 days before rising to heaven. In this way, Harry is Horus, the triumphant, rising, vernal sun, defeating winter and darkness. At this point, we know the life and struggles of the sun. The next obvious question would be, who is the devil? Just by looking at him, he's a goat. The only goat in the zodiac is Capricorn, the winter solstice. This is exemplified further when we look at the devil from the tarot deck, which is literally associated with Capricorn. And what is Capricorn known for? Well, her mantra is, I consume. Capricorn is an earth sign with a strong propensity for collecting worldly things, a desire for recognition, success, and are conscious of their reputation and therefore selective in who they let into their circles. If gone unchecked, this I consume personality can easily lead to a materialistic and debased life. We know that Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius, which is 2/3 of winter, the death cycle of the year. For this reason, Saturn is known as the Lord of Death, the Grim Reaper, Lord of the Flies, a baby eater, and Satan. He's also commonly associated with the night, the color black, and cold. In addition, Saturn is exalted in Libra, the autumnal equinox symbolizing Judgment Day, which is why Saturn is seen as a judge and associated with the law. Winter is the sun's adversary, just as Satan and Set are the adversaries of Jesus and Horus. And of course, Voldemort is the adversary of Harry. Voldemort is also associated with death, the night, cold, the Grim Reaper, and black, which leads me to associate him with Saturn and Capricorn. Voldemort's most profound symbol is the snake, Voldemort himself having a reptilian face. The snake is another reference to Satan, obviously, but the snake also symbolizes an area of the mind known as the reptilian brain, or the R complex. It controls our vital functions such as heart rate, breathing, body temperature, etc., as well as our fight or flight responses. It's the basic functioning of our animal bodies, hence it being the lowest of our 3 minds.
Basically, what will happen, what kinds of thinking will manifest when certain types of brain imbalance are present? So When we're in this schism, and again, most of humanity is, if we're overly intellectualizing everything, and we're too much in the masculine hemisphere of the brain, okay? We're not using the right or intuitive capacities of the brain, the right brain hemisphere. What this can lead to in the world is, again, rigid skepticism. Now, what did we say about that? It's not conducive to learning. People aren't really going to learn when they're rigidly skeptical. This is a hallmark of scientism. Scientismists, I don't know what other thing to call it, they have this rigid skepticism because they're purely intellectual. They're not really intelligent. The creative aspect is missing from their personality makeup, okay? Atheism is a hallmark of overly dominant left brain thinking because that, shuns all aspects of spiritual reality. There is no spirit. The universe is a grand cosmic accident. From there you get things like solipsism. People will say, well, isn't solipsism purely left brain? No. It is right brain. I'm sorry. Is it purely right brain? And I say no. It is left brain imbalance as well. Solipsism can be generated from both forms of imbalance, of believing nothing can actually be known. There is no truth. Truth is a dirty word to many left brain individuals. You'll note. So solipsism plays into left brain imbalance as well. All of these states here inevitably lead to these things down here. Moral relativism comes next. The idea that there's no such thing as the difference between right and wrong, that we just get to make those things up. They don't exist inherently in nature, We just can decide on what's right and what's wrong for ourselves and make it up, randomly. So very, very dangerous ideology, which we're going to be talking about a lot. Social Darwinism inevitably comes after that, all right? This is the idea that a certain class of society can get to direct how the lives of everybody else will go because they're the intelligentsia, so-called, okay? We're the intellectual people, really is what it is, the over-intellectualizing. And we'll direct society because we're the fittest. Like Darwinism postulates the survival of the fittest. Well, social Darwinism postulates the survival of the most socially ruthless. And many people believe that's the natural order. They believe that's the natural order, and nothing could be farther from the truth. What that is it's the psychopathic chaos. It has nothing to do with nature, and it has nothing to do with order. It's the exact opposite. So this state, and these are hallmarks of dark occultism as well. Okay? I think I should know a thing or two about it, as I was a priest in it for almost 10 years. I might know a couple of things about Satanism. Okay? So moral relativism is one of the big tenets of Satanism. It's actually one of the pillars of Satanism. Social Darwinism is highly praised and valued in Satanism. And eugenics. Okay? Because if people don't understand what eugenics is basically people, who have gone so deep into this form of left brain imbalance that they believe they're God and they can get to decide who lives and who dies. That's really what it is. We will control who breeds and who does not get to breed, who gets to live and who does not get to live. All right? That's essentially eugenics in a nutshell. And again, these are all authoritarianism, forms of authoritarianism. Okay? And it's the idea that man is the author. Man is the creator. Man is the God. Man will make the law. Man will decide who, life and death at any given moment. We will decide what's right and wrong, etc. That's essentially what all of these forms of thought are. Extreme left-brained imbalance. Let's look at the other form of imbalance. If the right side of the brain is chronically dominant, this leads to, similar kind of imbalance, but in the exact opposite form. The brain is still completely imbalanced, therefore the person's not in a high state of consciousness. They're completely unconscious to what's really going on within them and around them. But the manifestation is generally the opposite of the left brain forms of imbalance. So if you're in real right brain imbalanced state of consciousness, this will lead to naivete, believing anything you're told, accepting things from quote-unquote official channels and official sources without actually checking into them for yourself. Blind belief. You'll believe the next religion that comes along. We just have to tell them what they want to hear, and I'll believe that. So, New Agers are basically in this category, naivete and blind belief. People who trust government, of course, are in that category because, again, it's about creating the masters and the slaves. That's what brain imbalance is for. And that's why the controllers want to propagate this imbalance and keep it in place. Again, religious extremism, that's hallmarks of right brain belief, right brain imbalance. Solipsism, no such thing as truth, all from right brain imbalance as well. Feelings of unworthiness, self-loathing, accepting orders from other people, being an order follower. We're going to have a whole section on order followers later and how this is the exact opposite of anything virtuous. For people that believe order following is some kind of a virtue, I don't know what to tell you, but it's the thing that leads to all evil in the world, is accepting somebody's orders and not actually gauging for yourself whether the activity, the behavior is moral or not. Okay? And it creates a willing slave. This form of imbalance is ultimately generating a willing slave, whereas this form of imbalance is ultimately generating a psychopathic master. And they're all forms of mind control. It's just another aspect of how mind control works. The propagators of mind control are just doing this to keep that imbalance present in one form or another. They don't even care which it is. As long as they have some that are imbalanced toward one direction and some imbalanced toward the other direction, that's how the dynamic plays off against itself. And you have a world that is continued to be kept under lockdown.
This is Saturn and Capricorn at their absolute worst, which is why they're associated with evil and the devil. And what do you get when an entire country is operating from their reptilian minds? You get an empire built upon materialism, hierarchy, and might, thus slavery, oppression, and tyranny. All empires are populated by citizens who are predominantly operating from their lower mind. The two go hand in hand. And a tyrannous empire is exactly what Lord Voldemort creates.